Hey guys, this is Bridgette Stilley. Welcome back to my podcast. Today I'm sitting down with Casey Runte. He's in the hot seat. He's the owner and founder of CR Health and Wellness. Welcome, Casey.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so excited to have you here. Finally, you're very busy. Probably busier than you want to be some days. So I really appreciate you coming and spending 30 minutes of your day to just talk about you, how we met, and everything that you're doing.
Absolutely. Happy to be here.
Awesome. So let's talk about how we met. You were my son who plays football, was having all these issues. We were at I was at my wit's end because this is about 4 years ago. I had no idea what was wrong with him. And he's a big kid. Someone said, oh, go to the sport clinic. I made an appointment. My son it's gotten better, but he does have, they call it white coat syndrome, where there's a seer, doctors, just what you're going to do and say, and needles and all that. So I made an appointment, came in, and you were amazing. And I can't tell a lie. So I honestly, when I walked in, I was like, oh, he's young, he's personable, and right away, James and maybe they took it. So that was
I'm such a good kid.
it was such a big deal for him and me at the time. And you fixed him. You knew exactly what it was. He had Achilles tendonitis, but it was Sever's disease, which I had never heard about. And what I appreciate is that you did the x-ray, you showed me, you walked me through it. I didn't know anything about anything.
Right.
And he did say, I don't know if you remember, that it was probably the worst case you'd ever seen in a child. And I felt like loser mom, but you put him in physical therapy, and within 3 months, he was fine. Um, so tell me, how that comes about with your rapport with the kids. How did you make him feel comfortable? Is that something that you've always had?
Yeah. So I enjoyed as a kid, always enjoyed, working with coaches and working with different providers when I had my own issues. And I think that kind of inspired me to look into becoming, a physician associate or a medical provider. And, my dream was to work have my own private practice, which now is true, but when I met you, I was over at a sports clinic and I loved my job. I loved treating my patients. And I loved working with kids. I was interested in pediatrics in PA school, but I couldn't do pediatric medicine just because all the ear infections and the snot and the drool, it just wasn't for me. So whenever I had kids come into my old clinic, it was just a really nice change in the day and a really nice kind of refreshment to me. Um, James, as all my other pediatric patients, was very special, and I loved our interaction, and I loved getting to take care of him and watch him grow and heal. Whether it's surgical, non-surgical. But yeah, I really enjoyed working with him.
It was, you meet a lot of people and you make doctor's appointments, but there's very few times where someone makes that impression and is genuine. Because sometimes, you make an appointment and you don't feel like they're listening or but it wasn't like that with you.
Yeah.
So, um, let's dive back a little bit about you and where are you from? Where are you from?
Yeah, I am. Was born actually in Fort Lauderdale, down in the South Florida. My parents moved us up here in third grade. Went to Ascension Catholic and then Melbourne Central Catholic. And
So you're a true Floridian.
yes,
Yeah.
we're
These
raised.
days. Did you, when you were a kid, um, like what did you want to be when you grow up? Do you want are you doing exactly what you wanted to do?
Yeah, so when I was like 8 or 10, I feel like I remember wanting to be a veterinarian. Then I was like, wait, so many so many vets go to school for so long, and I felt like the risk reward wasn't there, and so I kind of switched my mind. I was like, okay, well maybe I want to do something with humans so I could talk to them.
At 10.
But yeah, and that things transpired, and then when I went to University of Florida, go Gators.
Oh, or no, he's a gator. That's what my next question was. I'm like, no,
Well, I went to
it's okay.
University of Florida. It became
one.
very clear to me that I wanted to be a PA. I felt like the fact that I could change specialties if I got bored or if I felt like I had learned everything I needed to learn in a field, I could kind of switch things up. I also like the autonomy behind being a PA, as well as the diversity and treatment opportunities with clients. And kind of to touch back on the question you asked, saying how a lot of providers don't always like establish rapport and make you feel like you're welcomed. I think just to touch on it briefly, we're kind of set up for failure in our medical system. It's totally broken. The clinic I work at was completely broken. I was forced to see 40 patients a day. I was working call. We were taking trauma. I was having to go to high school games every Friday. Doing CNE hours. But the most important thing is when you're in the room with the patient, that patient is the only person in the world, and you make them feel that way.
And you are so good at that. You were so good. I mean, I never would have known that you see that many people,
Yeah.
because we don't think that way. We don't understand how pulled you are in so many directions. And so you have that thing that makes it, just feel so comfortable.
Well, so that's my goal.
No, you do it so well. So you go to school, you go to UF. Well, hold that against you. No, I'm just kidding. Um, and you come out and yes. Um,
What happened after that?
yeah. So you come out of of school and you come back here and you start working at clinics.
So not quite actually. So there's a
Well,
pretty large gap I don't think you know about. This one's not as juicy, don't worry. Um, so when
we got juice.
when I graduated UF, I moved to Jacksonville Beach. I went to UNF for a year to do some postgraduate work. And in that year, I was like, you know what? I'm not ready to commit to my career yet. I want to see the world. And only been on a plane one time when I was 20. I flew to Michigan for a conference. And I was like, I just want to help people. So I literally Googled adventure, international, community service, camps. And I found this company.
But you Googled that.
I literally Googled those words.
Oh my.
And I found this company who was offering what they call global program leadership. And I essentially would fly to remote villages, Thailand, Laos, Indonesia,
Wow.
Mexico, Australia, the indigenous communities of Australia. And I would develop community service programs, sustainable initiatives, and live in and with the villages and get to know the culture. And then once we established the program, we'd fly over 20 students at a time from US, China, Europe, and I would take those students through the communities and we would build sustainable gardens. We would go surf when we were in Fiji. We would go ziplining and ride elephants in Thailand. We would, go off-roading in Australia.
This is amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah, so I did
No, these
six
are
months.
4 years.
Yeah, I did that 6 months out of the year for 4 years.
Wow.
And the other 6 months, I would come back and work in special needs therapy up in Jacksonville.
Oh my.
Had an after-school program at special needs high school and middle school. And I love that. I love the Special Olympics, a passion for adaptive medicine. And so my last job I had before I went to PA school was, I was like, what could I do that I won't ever really be able to do or want to do when I'm, retired? And I was like, I want to be a ski bum. So I found an adaptive ski instructor job in Park City, Utah. Moved there, didn't know anyone. Drove my Nissan Altima 2-wheel drive, ball tires, through the mountains of Utah, all the way out.
Twitter is that's scary in itself, right? Because you have this pretty.
Yeah, definitely don't have the truck I have now. Yeah, it was pretty funny. I showed up on Thanksgiving, went and got, pot of stovetop stuffing.
Oh my god.
Started my job. I was like, what did I do? I didn't know anyone. But it was one of my favorite experiences in my whole life.
And so, how long were you
I
there?
was there for about 6 months. So for the whole winter season.
Sounds like 6 months. 6 months. So all that adventure and travel, never been on a plane, and then you go do all this crazy stuff. W- Where did when you what did I do for your drive or for your vision for your how did it change you?
Yeah, I think it opened up my eyes to like what the meaning of life is.
Okay.
And I always knew I was kind of born to help people, but that solidified it for me. I was like, I really was born to help people find out who they are, help people find out how to help themselves, and to help heal people, whether it's physically, emotionally, Um,
Like, that just gives you
yeah,
that's your
I
passion.
used to go for Amatori. Yeah, those years taught me a lot about who I was and what I wanted to do. And then when I came back and I got into PA school, I was like, I'm good. And every time I was tired and up till 4 a.m., those 3 years, I would say, I'm studying to help save a life.
Wow.
I'm studying to help change someone's life. And
That's so
that's how I'm here now.
I like you even more. I think
That's surprising because I knew you liked me a lot.
yeah, I do, I do. I will say, I I did have a little crush on you. Fine. I was married, so, I knew you were like my fantasy doctor, so, when I first brought you're blushing, ha. When I first brought James in, her hair was probably in a bun and I was, momming. And then the next time I was like, "Oh no, I gotta look good for Casey."
She showed up in the heels.
I did put some lipstick on. I was like, "I gotta look fabulous." And now let James know that it was into his doctor, so
So James Lane's really rude, mom. We go every 2 weeks.
we're there all the time.
Insurance calls, Bridgette, you've maxed out your deductible or foot chronic. How'd you?
I'm like, "Oh, he's really hurt. He has to go back." Um, that's so funny. So, our story ends when James gets healed. I move on, and I didn't see you. We weren't, unfortunately, we weren't besties, so we didn't get to hang out at the time. And then all of a sudden, you popped up on Instagram, and I see CR Health and Wellness, Casey Runte, and people you might know. I'm not sure why, because we didn't have each other's phone numbers.
Yeah.
And I started looking at it. It's like, that's really cool. Oh my goodness, that's Casey. What is going on? And just started following you. And so you started CR Health and Wellness and the Indi Yard. So tell me, uh, I know you could probably talk about it for 5 hours, but tell me where that came from,
Yeah.
how you found the place, and what your vision is of this and where we're going with it and all those unpositive eggs.
Yeah. So, not to rewind too much, but the last year of my employment, was very unhappy. I was mistreated. I was essentially, backed into a corner multiple times, told that I was gay, told me to come out. Was essentially kind of like hazed. And so I wanted to always start my own company, but this kind of showed me like the real background of who this person was, that I worked for, and also confirmed that I just couldn't work in insurance anymore. So I slowly identified the gaps in healthcare, and I was like, we're being overcharged for labs, overcharged for imaging, we're being undercared for, and people aren't taking lifestyle advice seriously. So what kind of company could I start, whether it be a self-pay market, that could truly transform someone's life 360? And that's where CR Health, Wellness, and Aesthetics was born, was to help people look good, feel better, and live longer. And I initially was working in a studio, one room, outgrew that about a month. And then I reached out to my friend Cassandra, and she had, a half of a old Florida home on 4th Avenue, downtown New Atlantic available. Showed it to me. I was like, done. Where can I sign? And we started building the clinic. I started seeing patients there and absolutely loved it. I realized what I could really do for someone. Someone could come in, even if they have insurance. I spend an hour with them, get established, create custom labs based on their family history, their diagnoses they carry with them. And if they don't have insurance, it's not going to cost them $5,000 request, which is the standard lab bill that I get for their insurance, by the way. And instead, I work with a self-pay platform where it's $500, tenth of the price. And patients can get great care. They can work with someone. And we decided to make it a concierge practice so they can communicate with us any day, anytime, come in whenever they want, and essentially push them towards picking items to work on often, right? Instead of waiting for something to break, waiting for the engine to blow, waiting for, the heart pressure medication to kill you slowly. And so when I started making recommendations, I was like, man, the one piece that's missing is I've always wanted a gym. And I looked at the backyard of the building and I called Cassandra and I'm like, hey, Cass, can I rent the backyard? I just want to use it for like working with patients. Just, what do you mean? I was like, well, I had this idea. I saw this place in Bali and it was this outdoor gym and people would hang out, they would co-work, they would connect with each other, they would improve themselves. And so I started to work on a concept, and Indi for Indi Yard is actually short for Indi Atlantic.
Okay.
And yard stands for backyard, right?
Yeah.
And so Nelson and Cassandra said, yes, you can have it. And my brother Corey and I went to work. We just were like, okay, let's take it and run with it.
So tell me, because I have been there many times.
Yeah.
And I have not been to the Indi Yard. I will go, I promise. I say that every time I'm there.
Yeah.
But what do you have? Because I've seen cold plunge, I've seen sauna, I've seen classes.
So it's a whole outdoor ecosystem. It's an autonomous facility. There's no one there running it. It's a membership-based facility where members gain access to a key code gate, which opens up to an indoor cold plunge, an outdoor infrared sauna. We have about 3,000 square feet of outdoor turf. We have beautiful oak canopy all above.
And you offer like yoga,
Yeah.
all kinds of different classes.
Yeah, so we have a strength zone that our members are allowed to use, as well as recovery equipment, coffee, tea, and like a co-working area. And that's kind of like side one. Side two is we have classes. So I'm a huge believer in Pilates and yoga for, your mental health, your emotional health, as well as your physical health, whether it's, a patient with lumbar issues or, someone that's dealing with, different myalgias or, fibromyalgia. Those types of therapies are incredible for them. And so we designed a yoga class, yoga Pilates, strength training. We have boot camps.
Yoga Lottie.
Yoga Pilates. It's a blend of.
Now you're calling my name. Says I love yoga, love Pilates, and pulling it together. That's amazing.
Well, funny story. Someone came to the class. She's like, "Hey, we did the yoga. Where's the latte?" I was like, "What do you mean?" She's like, "No, like a coffee. Like you do yoga and you drink coffee after." I was like, "Oh my god, not quite. But there's coffee down the street. Hey, I'll get you a latte.
That's so funny.
You have coffee inside."
This concept is just amazing. And hearing you talk about it, I don't think I've ever actually heard you, spell out the concept. What happened for me was James got hurt again. And I thought, I think I might have messaged you or I made an appointment. And we went in and I brought James. And now 4 years later, you see him again and he's probably as tall as you.
Yep.
God, the kid is tall. At 5'9", he will be my height.
He's gonna be so tall.
And well, you told him he would be 6'5".
Yeah.
If think 6'0", 6'5".
I'm still pretty sure about that.
So James is a football player. He's a baseball player, just an athlete, right? So he was pitching. His arm started to hurt. So who do I call? The expert in the town. I'm not going to go to anybody else. I promise you that. I had to find you. And I brought James in, and once again, what's up, bro? And that whole rapport you have with him. He didn't really remember. He knew that you had fixed his heel. So immediately you started treating him. He went to physical therapy. My daughter came in. She had some ankle issues. So you were a big part of which she just got her boot off last week.
Yeah.
It's starting to run again. So you treated both my kids in this beautiful facility. I came in and I looked around. It was like, God, it's really cool in here. And you did it all. Yeah. And you did. So you are just, there's so many facets of you. You could construct. I thought you hired a contractor. I went, no, yours a contractor. So it's beautiful, by the way. I really like it. Has a great vibe.
We're excited for facility number 2.
I know.
Coming October 1st.
So tell me about, it's obviously very successful. I can barely get in appointments at times, but you're very good at getting me in because I gone last minute. So it has grown.
Yeah.
So when was your opening date?
Yeah, so I started seeing patients for Senior Health and Wellness about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
So like February timeframe, about a year and a half ago. The new building that we have that opened last May, softly, was when I started seeing patients in person there. And then our grand opening was last October, so not even a year ago. We didn't even tell the time when we were seeing patients until October 19th. We've grown about tenfold to the point where I hired a second PA, Annie Myler.
Yes.
She's absolutely incredible. Really, really fantastic provider.
You had the girl at the front.
Yeah, we have.
Well, I went there. It was just you.
It was just me. I did everything. I answered the phones. I pressed on the phone number. I scheduled everyone. I documented everything. Did all the treatments. And And of course, like, seeing James and your daughter again, of course, I carried that part of my orthopedic experience with me. And so it kind of morphed that part of the practice into,
Yeah, because I don't think that's really what you were geared towards, but you
oh, I wanted to open up
Jersey, yeah.
our practice into a little bit more of a diversified portfolio. And so I carried the ortho with me, and we call it like a joint health program, or anti-aging program, where people literally just can come in and we can help with, soft tissue injury, joint injuries. But the premise of the practice is wellness and then aesthetics as well. So we focus a lot on the whole body, total body health. But yeah, the building was fun, all by hand.
Amazing. It's gorgeous.
Leanne was my first hire, my medical assistant. She's fantastic. She's a jack of all trades. And then I hired Amy, about 6 months ago now, and she's taken off. And then recently we hired a massage therapist, Monica. We hired an esthetician, Kara, and then a laser esthetician.
Oh, yeah,
Juliet.
yes. I mean, just
Uh,
growing.
And we also got Carrie. Carrie ran and owned Mayweather Fitness.
Oh, yes,
And
there.
she's now
I
so,
her at South Beach years ago when she instructed us.
so there's just 7 of us now. And it's been less than a year of being open.
That's crazy. I just imagine what another year and another year.
That's what Tommy says. He's like,
So let's talk about I want to talk about what you offer in the Botox. Sure. Tell me a little bit about what's like your number one thing that you offer.
yeah. So my standard patient that walks in is, male or female, sometimes a couple, and they just want to feel better and look better, really. They're like, what can you do for me? I'm like, let's start with labs, right? So we custom order their labs, get their labs back, figure out, if they've got low testosterone, and we treat that, figure out if they have any mineral or nutrient deficiencies, if they're B vitamin deficient, if they, have any issues with hypertension, if they have any issues with, blood sugar or cortisol. And then from there, we take it, whatever direction we feel like. Do we want to work on a custom supplement plan? Do we want to work on their gut health and do a custom probiotic? Or do we just, focus on the hormones? And we do a lot of hormones. We treat a lot of our patients with hormone replacement therapy. I'm a huge fan. And so we want to make them, feel good.
Yeah.
But then I start to look like,
Designed.
yeah, we designed their wellness program from scratch. And, beyond that, the patient then looks in the mirror and I'm like, well, I feel good now. I want to look good. I'm like, well, that part's easy. We have lots of easy fixes, Dysport, Botox, all of your neuromodulators are great.
So I will say, as your patient, I had never done Botox because I always thought I'm natural. I don't need any of that. But then as you get older and you look in the mirror, you're like, well, that kind of does this and that
Does that.
and if
Figured it is.
yeah, I was like, my eyes are going this way or everything's sagging. So yeah, I mean,
We have options for all those things.
you have options for everything. So I was like, Casey, can I always
You don't really know what to ask for.
I didn't know. I was like,
You're like, can you do this?
can you make it like I don't know, but I also want to look natural.
Yeah.
And that was probably my biggest concern for me personally. I didn't want to walk in a room and say, "Oh, she just had Botox," or "Oh," or, because I am 49. There's no denying that. And if you look at my chest and neck, and I see, when you look at that's my age. I want it. I don't want to be anybody that I'm not.
Right.
But I also thought, well, I could maybe this and that. So he came up with the plan. He said, I got you. We're going to look natural. And I did. I think I've had 3 rounds.
3 rounds.
3 rounds, right? And this last time I was like, all right, I need a little bit more.
Yeah.
But you've been very great, not, telling me, oh, you should get this and get that.
Yeah.
You're really, truly listening to me. I appreciate it. I never knew about Botox in that's
Or TMJ.
yeah, for the TMJs. I've had 2 rounds. I can open my jaw now. I mean, it was silly thought when
Without pain.
I had headaches. So that's been great.
Yeah.
So is your Botox your number one?
In my aesthetics part of the company, we use Dysport, but neuromodulators, yeah. Medical weight loss is pretty.
Medical weight loss. So medical weight loss, I wanted to touch base, because you do offer that. Is that there's a lot of a stigma around it,
Right.
where is it only for people that need to lose 40 or 50 pounds, or is it just for anybody that wants to
Mhm.
have health and wellness?
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a loaded question, and to kind of wrap those two questions into one, you bring up like, being concerned about going into an aesthetics practice and being oversold and overfilled. And it's true. If you go into several of the other aesthetic practices around town, the injectors are overfilled, they're gaunt because they've been taking, Ozempic for too long. And you don't want to look like that. You want to age gracefully. And because we work so much in wellness, I try and offer more natural options, more regenerative options, PRP, we do microneedling, we use Radies, we use Sculptra to biosimulate the collagen in the skin. Um, and I think it's all about like gentle entry, right? So like not telling the patient they need, an ablative CO2 treatment and 200 units of Botox and, a tummy tuck all in the same visit.
Yeah.
That's just not the way I practice. I think there's a way to age gracefully. The stigma behind medical weight loss, I think, is honestly ridiculous. If you look at any of the science, you're now seeing that all of the GLPs, uh, semaglutide, tirzepatide, and retatrutide, all have incredible health benefits. They decrease insulin resistance. They help with cortisol levels. In fact, I've been able to get about 100 patients now off of all their medications just by using a GLP for a few months. And no, it's not for someone who needs to lose 100 pounds or 200 pounds. It's for anyone who wants to, work on fatty liver disease, decrease their inflammation levels, work on their gut health. It works in a variety of ways. You're seeing studies that'll come out showing that it improves longevity, it's decreased mortality rates across the country. It cures fatty liver disease because it pulls fat from the liver. And then the nice side effect is you lose weight, right?
Absolutely. Oh, and you feel good about yourself and you're doing it. I feel like people don't want to admit that they're doing it. And so nowadays people say, oh, they must be on the shot. And that's such a,
Right.
it makes you feel bad
Right.
when you're just trying to make yourself feel good. And all the things you just said, I feel are not in what you hear about.
Right.
You hear about, these are the side effects are so bad. But everything you just said, why wouldn't you want to do it?
Oh, it's amazing, especially, when you microdose it, it works for everyone.
Yeah.
Most patients.
Definitely have to go to the right provider, though.
Well, I mean, that's true. You can go to, any med spa in town, they'll poke you with it. They want anything specialized, yeah.
And do,
You can order it online, it'll show up, hat strength, and you'll poke yourself and make yourself sick.
yeah.
But it takes someone who understands the behind the scenes of it, someone who understands the labs you need to order and the signs you need to watch out for and the science behind it, to treat you and take care of your whole body, not just go to a med spa and get poked in the stomach and hope to lose weight. That's just not an appropriate setting for medical weight loss. If you're coming to me, I'm going to talk to you about custom nutrition. We're going to talk about supplements, vitamins. We're going to recommend different lifestyle modifications, including exercise. We're going to talk about protein intake, water intake. I'm going to get you an Indi Yard membership. You're going to go cold plunge and sauna for weight loss and inflammation. You're going to go to the Pilates class to work on your core. I could talk about that a lot forever.
It's just amazing. Everything that you do and you're offering, you have another location coming.
Yeah.
Right? There's not enough of you to go around. What are we going to do when you have 4 and 5? And do you see it growing to that?
We do. We actually have a third location on the radar that we can't talk about yet, and potentially a fourth. We had a meeting last week for both of them, actually. But we're just trying to grow sustainably. It's all about relationship, right? When you spend an hour with someone instead of 5 minutes, that patient's going to send you 10 referrals.
Absolutely.
Right? And your realtor, this works the same way. If you're showing up late to showings and you're not spending time with people who aren't actively looking for a house, you're never going to build that relationship. And so when you spend time with a patient, you build rapport, it goes a really long way, especially in Brevard County. It's a very loyal place.
Absolutely.
Um,
And it's such a small town. It's a very sport gets out. When I was talking about who I was going to sit down this week, and I said, I'm sitting down with Casey Runte. They're like, from Sierra Health. And I was like, he's kind of a big deal. But he's my friend. So we're going to sit down. And he's my friend. So we could probably talk about all of that for hours. And we'll definitely do a part 2.
Yeah.
Because I want to,
happy to break down myths and legends.
yes, and if you have any questions, you're so available. Even if you did a consultation to have someone come in, and you learned so much, and I'd learned so much. So now I see you've helped me with, so some skin and anti-aging and some Botox, and you see my kids, and I just love it. I wear your hat every day. I wear your hat almost every post I'm in. When I post, I'm always.
It's a great hat.
It is a great hat. It fits well, and I like it, and I like that it says, health and wellness. It's who I am. It's part of what I enjoy with the Pilates and
Yeah, absolutely.
um. So let's talk about something a little different. Um. So back to my crush on you. When I started looking at on your Instagram, all of a sudden you made this most beautiful post about coming out.
Yeah.
And it gives me chills, to be honest with you, because I had no idea, first of all. I had such a crush on you. And so I was like, oh my gosh, he's coming out, and he wrote this post. I don't know if that's 2 years ago or not. And I sent you a message. I don't know if you remember.
I do.
I DM'd you.
I remember all of them.
Yeah, I DM'd you. Like I was just so inspired by your words, and I love that you had the courage to come out in such a public ways. And so can you just tell me that part of your story, because that's such a huge part of you.
Yeah, so I had a girlfriend, or had, met multiple girlfriends over the years leading up to my mid-20s, and went to PA school, and everyone knows in PA school you can't date. So that was 3 years of celibacy. Uh, and
You're dating the books.
Yeah, you're dating boys for sure. Late night with the books. But kind of fast forwarding a little bit, I was working at my old clinic. Ended up not a great situation there. Not a lot of support, a lot of mistreatment, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't stay in the closet for this doctor I'm working for, and I can't stay in the closet for other people around me. I'm gonna be myself, and I never was gonna come out publicly. I didn't think anyone deserved to know my private information. But then I started thinking about, well, there's probably other guys out there like me that would hopefully be inspired by me announcing and telling people who I really am. And, cold underwear, I think it was some point.
So chill.
Yeah,
I think it's because that's so true.
it is just
One person.
and that's what I said in my post. And at the very end, I was like, I never wanted to come out. I didn't think it's anyone's, business to know, but I flew to Nashville right before I came out to meet with my old fraternity brother who has a boyfriend. He's a up and coming musician in Nashville, and we went to the Pride Parade, and I cried. And I didn't know why I was crying. And I went by myself, and I was like, "Why? I don't know why I'm here, but I feel like I need to be here." And I just stood there and I read all the signs, and I read this one sign that had a picture of my phone, and it said, "To be visibly queer is to put your community before anything else." And I realized, like, immediately, like, this is my community. Like, we're all one big community. We don't have to be L or G or B or TQIA plus. We can just be human and treat one another with respect. But that sign stood out to me because I was like, you know what? There's someone else out there like me who needs to hear my story and know that it's okay to come out and to have a boyfriend or to be whatever you want to be. And that's why I did it. And
That's amazing.
Tommy I met on Hinge. And
So I just met.
yeah, and it's crazy because I was literally 1 month away from quitting my order for a job, Airbnb my house, and moving to Denver, finding a guy, bringing him home, and surprising everyone. That was my plan. It was gonna be a great plan. But Tommy found me on Hinge, even though he didn't know how to work it. DM me on Instagram. We had mutual friends. I was scared that they were gonna find out. Well, they already knew, I guess, through him. We met at a local bar, and I went home that night, and again, freshly, had just barely started dating guys, and I went home. I told my best friend Kate, and I was like, I'm gonna marry him. Like, that's crazy. Oh my god, you know what I mean?
Like the first guy.
Yeah, I'd had a couple dates
Couple
before
dates,
that.
but he's.
Swipe right, go to Orlando. That's just what you do. But
I've never done that.
yeah,
I'm talking about.
it's really weird. I heard you're dating a guy where.
That's so. No, live.
Oh, okay.
No. Anyhow, moving on.
So yeah, that's it. That kind of in a nutshell how that was coming out.
And Tommy's the one.
Tommy's the one. He's incredible in every sense of the word. He makes me feel good for who I am. He treats others with respect. And it's pretty funny because we both had like similar final years with our old practices. He was forced into some uncomfortable situations. And again, it's repeat, right? Like everyone that is gay or bi or trans or whatever they may be, I feel like it's forced into these situations where they're having to tell their coworkers who they are, and if send letters out to companies, tell me how to do that. I was backed into a corner multiple times and made fun of. Like, it's just not okay.
It's just not.
And I want people to know it's not okay. And I think that people who are doing these things should be held accountable.
Absolutely.
And I'm happy to touch on that again, other episode of
Yeah. Well,
stories. The moral of the story is, Tommy and I feel very much like you're meant to be together. He's extremely intelligent, very capable. And we've lived together for about a year now, and it's
hi, and
it's going great. So
very
yes,
super supportive of the business.
yeah, very supportive of the business.
Is he involved at all, or he's
So he had a 1-year non-compete in aesthetics. So he was not able.
same industry?
He was not able to help with CR, but he was my partner essentially. Building, shaping, and envisioning Indi Yard. Also, so that's been amazing. But we,
You work together.
yeah, just
Like, I love it. So your future with Tommy would be besides work. We talking kids,
yeah,
marriage.
yeah,
So
yeah, we want all that. I don't think we're too far away from looking at what marriage looks like for us.
oh my goodness.
And then on the kids side of things, we've talked about it so many times. We have a plan. So
I can't period baby for you.
oh,
I should. I
dang it.
should. I know. I know. You would definitely want my gene.
There's a hormone for that. Just joking. That's
49 in price. Yes.
I don't recommend that. Don't try this out.
Just a joke. Just a joke.
So his sister is gonna donate her eggs. We're gonna use my sperm, and then we have a surrogate who
You're sure you have this full plan.
it's already planned. Yeah. We're just waiting for the right time to
We're gonna have little
start the
baby and Tommy's
yeah.
running around the Indi Yard and
Yeah, if you ChatGPT your faces together, you can make ChatGPT have two men have a child. It's really cool.
really.
Yeah, I'll show it to you.
I'm gonna, yeah, it's also got. I love Chat GBT. I go on all the time. I love that. Well, I'm just blown away by you even more now. I thank you for coming in. I know you got to go and get you know your appointments. I'm sure for the rest of the day. Do you work on the weekends or do you take some?
I try not to, mostly administrative, but occasionally if we have a client who needs, a long appointment, like an aesthetics client who's gonna have a long appointment, I'll see them on Saturday morning. But I try and keep my weekend sacred and spend that time
Bit of time where your
my
friend.
my friends, my family, my nephews, niece.
Yeah, I actually saw you
Go
at
Thursdaying, go out to drink, the friends.
Yeah, I had a good time. I hadn't run into you out in the wild,
I know.
not in the doctor setting. So that was a lot of fun, and I got to meet Tommy. So awesome. Well, thank you so much. I hope you had a good time in the hot.
This was great. Yeah,
Yeah. So you got to come back.
I would love to come back.
All right, and I'm gonna see you in the office.
Sounds good.
All right.
Thank you, Bridget.
You're welcome.